This week's episode is sponsored by Change. Change is the #1 mentoring program that teaches you e-commerce from scratch. Change has a real community with real results. I have been working with Ryan for many years now and have attended many of his events and retreats across the world and got to meet members and the amazing community of like-minded people. Ryan works with a lot of big names in the business world, helping them build online businesses and e-commerce. Change offers personal one-on-one support, no experience needed, but like anything, this takes time and is not a get-rich-quick scheme. If you put the work in, you will get the results. E-commerce and online shopping is getting bigger and bigger. This is a great opportunity for anyone that is looking for financial freedom. For more information, go follow Ryan on Instagram at RyanJB, and he will guide you through the steps to help you get started and build a successful online business. You can now follow me on all my social media platforms to find out who my latest guest will be. And don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you're notified for when my next podcast goes live. Boom, we're on, and today's guest, we've got Ted Shirley. Ted, how are we?
Yes, very good, bro. Thank you for having me, mate.
Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
Afghanistan sniper, done a lot of damage, a lot of ups and downs.
Yes.
A lot of mad stories. You've got a new book coming out, which we'll promote straight away. What's the book about and where can people buy it?
Yes, everywhere. Absolutely everywhere, mate. So yeah, it's called Afghanistan Sniper, Trauma on the Front Line and Beyond. Catchy.
When's this book out?
It comes out November 30th this year, which is rapidly approaching, mate, to be honest. There's so much getting done behind the scenes. It's great.
Is it going to be a pre-sale?
Yeah, it's on pre-sale now, yeah.
Perfect.
20% off, actually, at the minute.
That's what it's all about. Everybody loves a little bargain, bro. Before we get into all the madness, though, I always like to go back to the start with my guests.
Yeah.
Get more of a bit of understanding about you, Ted, where you grew up and how it all began.
Yeah, so I'm from North Wales coast, very dainty little town. Once used to be thriving, but not so much anymore. Childhood was great, mate. I was a very happy little kid. As you can see, I've always got a smile on my face. Family life was great. Everything was good. And my entire childhood was geared up to live a life in the military. So as soon as I could at 16, I joined up and off I went.
Through family, friends, anyone else serving in the army?
My dad had been in the Falklands War, yeah, in the Navy. So hearing sort of stories of him, that inspired me because, you know, he had some of the most amazing stories and I wanted them. I wanted to live those things and meet those people and see these places around the world, you know?
So he was over in Argentina. When was that, 1982?
Yeah, long time ago.
Only reason I know that because I interviewed a sniper just a couple of days. I interviewed somebody yesterday. We were talking about it. I knew it was the 80s.
Oh, yeah?
Listen, I'm not that knowledgeable, bro. I'm just
going to say that was well good.
Yeah, there was a bit of damage done then.
Yeah, so yeah, it's not so much on my first tour, my second tour of Afghan.
Not in Argentina with your dad? Was there many war stories?
Oh, there. Not so much, no. He always kept it quite close to his chest, to be fair. It was something that, I don't know whether he did that on purpose or not.
Yeah.
But I heard about the good stuff. It wasn't until sort of I was in already that he sort of opened up a little bit about it, but not too much, you know. Yeah, I don't think he wanted to put me off.
I think that was the way it was back then with men. They just bottled everything up.
Absolutely,
You didn't get many interviews from people who served in the army. Nowadays, it's all trendy. Everybody wants to tell their story, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think it's important now. Yeah, I think a lot of lads sort of my age have been inspired by that kind of generation of like I saw you had Chris Ryan on, and like he was one of my mega inspirations. He was everything. Bravo to his era. I was like, I'm in. I want to hear that. So yeah, I think back then people were sort of, I wouldn't say naive, but I certainly didn't realise what the extent of things I was getting into, you know, until really my second tour. The first tour, even in Afghan, was it it was okay. It never left me with any scars. But then I wasn't a sniper until that second tour. That's when it started getting a bit tasty.
So you joined at 16?
Yeah, I joined at 16. Yeah, and then I was 20 on my first tour, 21 on my second tour.
Still a kid.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I didn't think I was. I thought I was a macho man at the time. I thought I knew everything. But in hindsight, yeah, I knew nothing.
What was basic training like?
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was like I was fit and healthy, and so that was a big part of it. The fitter you are, the better you're going to get on. So I really enjoyed it. I learned so much stuff and met so many good lads. I was buzzing to get this life started. I was excited for it all. I was excited for meeting all these people that come from all over Britain, at such a young age. That was amazing for me. All these different accents and stuff. I thought, oh, this is fucking brilliant. Get me in here.
After you passed training, what happened then?
Straight away, I was off to Cyprus, the regiment I was with. We're based over there, which was, again, amazing for me. I couldn't believe it. Just down the road from Ayia Napa, in between Ayia Napa and Paphos. So every weekend, it was one or the other, and life was incredible. I was there for 4 weeks, and then bam, straight to Afghan, straight away. So again, for me, I loved it. I was super keen, and you couldn't keep a smile off my face, mate. You really couldn't. As mental as that might sound, I was living what I'd worked so hard to do.
What was it like going to Afghanistan for the first time?
First time was a mix of nerves and excitement. I'd say more excitement, though, to be honest. There was, the more senior blokes in the regiment had been there beforehand, so I'd have little stories from them and little tips and stuff. But I fitted straight in really quickly, and everyone was dead nice, mate. All the lads were so sound that it was easy to do, and it was like a group of mates just going on an adventure. It was crazy.
Was there any danger then?
Yeah, those kinetic stuff, those kickoffs and stuff. Like my first contact, first time being shot at. That was a weird experience. It was very surreal. I fucking pissed myself laughing. I don't know why. I just couldn't help myself, mate. I don't know if it was a nervous laugh or what, but training takes over, and it's a weird thing to see, all as sort of like dust's flying around and bullets are incoming, and you sort of going, fucking hell. Yeah, everyone knows what they're doing here. Yeah, well, this is all right, actually. This is what I've signed up for, until it got a bit too close.
What were you doing then?
I was just a rifleman then. So our job at the time was to look after key places like radio towers and things like that, in a place called Musakala, which at the time was quite a bit of a hotspot. But it was a very slow-paced kind of tour. It was, it wasn't as active as I'd have liked it to have been, to be honest. So I was very keen to get back there. Which again sounds mad, all this stuff coming out of my mouth, but it's true. It was a very exciting time. And once I'd done it once, then I was sort of like, right, I'm in now. I'm seasoned. Let's actually go to what I want to do, and that hence being a sniper. That's really what I wanted out of it all.
Was that the plan from the get-go, or is it just kind of progress when you went in there that you wanted to be a sniper?
It was since being a kid. Yeah, I'd always wanted to be a sniper. I'd always wanted that sort of element of individuality, I suppose. I didn't want to just be a bloke in a rifle platoon forever and just go through the motions. I wanted the excitement. I wanted the stories, and I wanted
the violence.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, which is weird. Yeah,
yeah, no, because I had a sniper on there. He was in the Marines. They used to have groups of 4.
Yes,
that's what he says. Listen, I signed up for war. He signed up after 9/11. He wanted violence. He wanted the madness.
9/11 was a big
yeah, you're not going to sign up and just you don't want to do anything. You're signing up for a reason.
I wasn't going to be a chef or a driver. I wanted to. The way I saw it was, and the way I try and explain it whenever I get into these sort of conversations, is if you were in school and someone was having a hard time, would you confront the bully or not? And for me, the answer for that is a yes, and it's always going to be a yes. So for me, I saw, especially after 9/11 happened, it made me realise that people needed help out, especially in Afghanistan. And I was capable of doing it, and I was more than willing to do it. So yeah, becoming a sniper was the ultimate, really. It was the goal.
How do you become a sniper? What's the steps?
Oh, so you start off, the whole battalion, so say about 1,000 men. whoever wants to go for it, you do like a pre-selection that's sort of in the regiment. So mainly fitness tests, shooting tests, that sort of thing, aptitude tests. And once you sort of rise through that, then you then selected and off you go for the 6-month course, which starts in Scotland, actually. For me, it did.
So all the mad bastards are brother.
Oh, yeah. Just off from Dundee, it was. Woo. Yeah, fun night on the piss.
Does many people go for sniper?
There was, so say the 1,000 blokes in our battalion, there was multiple battalions, so I'm not sure how many it would have been, but I think there was probably 10 regiments worth of blokes that were there. So yeah, there's probably about 10,000. And I think at the end of the course, at the end of the 6 months, I think there was 8 of us left. So
just 8.
Yeah. It's the learning curve. The learning curve's so steep that if you fall behind, you've got no time to catch up. You know, you're either going to be at that standard or you're not on it. See you later, and off you go again, because British snipers are held to a standard, and that's not going to get lowered for anybody. You know, it doesn't matter how nice you are or how keen you are.
What's the training like?
So it starts off 3 months of shooting and learning about ballistics, basically, and the weapon systems and the theoretical side of it. You know, where wind and elevation, temperature, and you learn all these factors that affect how a round flies through the air. So it's 3 months of classrooms and shooting ranges, which was, I was well keen for that, to be fair. As soon as I got behind a sniper rifle, I was like, yeah, this is a bit of me, this. And then once you've passed that phase, which a lot of people don't pass, you then move on where you go to. For us in particular, it was Brecon Beacons. We were down Brecon for 3 months. Rain that gets you wet from the bottom up, and it was that's when it starts getting into the sort of tactical side of it, so like the stalking, camouflage and concealment, your map reading and stuff. But it's all, you're on your own, everything is individual, so you can't rely on anyone to sort of get you through it. It's all down to you, how hard you work and the effort that you put in and how much you want it, really.
How many tests do you actually get put through to be a sniper?
Oh God, constant. It's constant. From as soon as you've been taught something, you're getting tested on it, and then that all culminates then at the end of the 6 month, where you have like test week. So you'll then do things like your observation test, where you'll lie down, and then 20 meters away there might be a bullet casing in the grass, and you've got to spot it, and a bit of string hanging in the tree, and all these sort of things that your eyes are now tuned into, and it's all about this gradual honing in on everything around you. So you sort of become one with your environment, and once you're at test week, you go into the stalks and night navigation exercises and stuff on your own, which in the book I talk about one. Fucking hell, I made a right fuck up. So when you're doing these night navs, you've got a little glow stick in the back of your head, and just for like sort of safety things. Anyway, I thought one of the lads was next to me on a night nav, so I'm going, "Hey, who's that?" It was a fucking firefly. I'm following this thing off me until I realise, oh shit, I'm lost now. And then all this. Anyway, I won't go into it too much because you won't buy the book.
What's the most important thing about being a sniper? Is it eyesight? Is it touch, feeling? What's the most important part of being a sniper?
Oh, I think it's your intuition. I think the ability to sort of read a battlefield is important. So for me, I found that once I was on my second tour and sort of well into it, I was honed into things that you would call like combat indicators, for instance. So say there's no kids playing in a street where there used to be kids playing in a street, or no one's about, and then all of a sudden there's a guy on top of the roof looking. You're spotting out constantly. You're looking out for these sort of things, because then our main role at the time, because there wasn't enough of us, so we weren't even working in pairs. We were just on our own as snipers, which that's a whole different bloody conversation and a different kettle of fish that leads to all sorts. But our main role would be to overwatch ground troops. So as they were going in and they were coming under contact, it would be us sort of angels from above, just sort of clearing the path for them, really.
JT, who was a Marine sniper, they worked in packs of 4, 2 of them 4. So they were they would get their mission, kind of suss out the place. They would have to go through doors sometimes. Not be through doors, chap the doors, families, kids sitting eating their dinner, and they would be in that house for maybe 2 and 3 days.
Yeah.
Like, he loved it. when he spoke about his first kill, he says, "That's what I loved. That's what I wanted."
Yeah.
And he says, "Am I crazy?" And I says, "Yeah, probably."
Yeah,
But
mate, I
not
argued
to,
with
not to
myself.
be tapped.
Yeah.
Not to do that in a way.
Yeah.
But I interviewed Peter McAleese.
Right.
He was a Scotsman who got offered 1 million to kill Escobar. I've been talking about him recently. He passed away, God rest his soul. But with Peter, he owned what he'd done. He never had any regrets, and I think that's important.
Yeah.
I was doing a job. I was getting tasks. I was getting missions, and I done that to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
I signed up to do that, to fight for my country,
Yeah.
to kill, to do what I wanted. And I hold no regrets, but he still had the twinkle in his eye. I think a lot of people come back broken.
Yeah.
Everybody struggles with PTSD, and not just soldiers, but everybody in life. But I just feel sometimes we can really let it sink us. And I think it's just about owning what you've done and owning your misery as well.
It is, yeah. So for a long time after I'd come back, I struggled with the idea of, am I a fucking psycho? Am I a serial killer? And my therapist had got sick of hearing it. Like, but you're right. You have to have this thing in your mind where for us, I can only talk for me and the other sniper platoon lads that we'd work so hard and constantly that was in our mind that we're doing this so that we can take out these targets. You know, we want to be the best. And our instructors, one in particular that I talk about, he used to take us to the ranges for weeks on end and we'd be 1,000 yards whopping 10 pence pieces and we'd just be going ding, ding, ding all day long. So we had the abilities and we knew that each of us had the confidence to be able to do it. So once we got there was only one more thing to do, and that was find those targets and pull that trigger, you know? And it was adrenaline filled. It was everything, like, you know, I know, like you're saying, you've spoke to a lot of people that have done it, and they'll have all felt that same thing where almost for a split second there's a disconnect for me where pulling the trigger, it wasn't a human being, it was a target, and that's kind of how I dealt with it until I didn't deal with that and I humanized the targets and I started to make things personal. So friends who'd been killed or injured before I'd arrived, that then became a driving factor for me to sort of almost get a revenge, which wasn't, in hindsight, wasn't a healthy way to do it. But it allowed me to unleash the fucking beast. It allowed me to do what I needed to do.
And get through it, which is most important. When I interviewed JT, he was saying that just before he pulled the trigger, sometimes he would think about, would I get on with them if we went for a beer? Do they have kids like I have? Like, I think you can go down the hole. It's not healthy for you.
Yeah.
What was it like when you passed?
It was very quick, to be honest. It was sort of like, right, that's done. And now it's off to medical training, vehicles, getting all these tickets and stuff, because we were already about to sort of deploy to Afghan. We finished the sniper course and then went to Kenya for 2 months, which was our like pre-deployment training, which was a fucking amazing experience. The you know, from the wildlife and just the local people and seeing Africa for the first time was incredible. To the massive level of training where we've got helicopters and fucking artillery blowing fuck out of villages and stuff. And I was taken back. I couldn't believe it. So at this point, you're gagging for it. You hit the nail on the head before, to be honest. You are out there to pull that trigger. You've worked hard for it and you want it. It's all you want. It is all you want. You want the worst of humanity so that you can be the monster that keeps the monsters at bay, you know, which is something that there's a bit of a recurring theme throughout snipers, that unfortunately sometimes that monster comes back with you, and it did with me. I was a bit of a bastard for a while, but I didn't realise it was. But
what was your first mission like?
First one, it was, we'd been out on a patrol, and we were with some Afghan Special Forces guys, and we were either side of a road. They took this side and we took this side, and there was a massive muddy field. It was about probably a mile square, this huge field, and it was coming over the radios that our interpreters were listening to Taliban radio chat, and they were sort of saying, right, wait till they get in the middle of this field, we'll look nice and stuck, and then we'll open up on them. So I was thinking, fucking hell. And I instantly felt the pressure because, and there was 2 other snipers with the patrol at the time, and we all felt this pressure of, they're watching us and we don't know where they are. We should fucking know where they are, you know. And then once it all erupted, it was a bit of a blessing, to be honest, because it was hard walking through that mud. It was well hard. Like, so as soon as it like kicked off and became kinetic, that's when we all snapped in, and it was that was the first time that all of us snipers were together, and we were able to shine. And it very quickly ended with 3 of us making a shot at the same time through a wall and taking out this guy, and it just ended everything, which was something that we started to realise happened a lot. Once the enemy found out that there were snipers involved, shit stopped. We had almost the same power as an Apache helicopter coming over, and it became, at the time, this is 2009 through into 2010, there was a lot of enemy sniper activity as well, which the following day after this happened, we got right into, and we were the hunted ones, which felt very uncomfortable, to say the least. That was mad. It was turned out to be a hired rebel fighter, so like, you know, they paid someone who was a sniper to come in and try and take us out, and he did manage to take out a few British troops, which ended up with us getting woke up in the morning, stupid o'clock, and being told there was a bunch of British troops that were stuck in the middle of nowhere, and they'd been stuck there for a long time. They'd lost troops, they couldn't get ammunition, water, food, so we were to go, and the aim was for us 4 snipers to go and try and take out this one. And fucking hell, I mean, what goes now even thinking about it? It was hectic. We got into their compound, there's 2 towers, and we climbed into these towers, me and one lad in the other, and 2 in the other one. And I popped my head up. As soon as I popped my head up, we'd been there for 2 minutes, and bang, this round flew over my head. I went, fucking hell, that was a bit close, that, Jesus. And we were used to this sort of stuff, you know, and you saw the amount of videos I've got of lads pissing themselves laughing, getting shot at. I don't know what it is, but it's funny. So we did it, and then I've bent down and gone, right, how are we going to sort of do this? So the land in front of us looked like something out of a World War II movie. It was blown up buildings and sort of bits of vehicle, and like it'd obviously been a scene of a lot of fighting. So we'd not even managed to get our weapons up onto the top to have a look for our scope yet. We're just sort of peeking up and trying to have a little look, and then the lad next to me, he peeked up, and bang, this round, it was, when a round's coming in, you hear a sort of crack and a whistle and a thud, but you hear this sound, which is, it's inches from your head, you know, and we were like, oh, that's even closer to that. So on the ground, our commanders and the other lads are sort of dishing out water and ammunition and whatnot to what these guys have been stranded there, and they're kind of looking up going, what the fuck are we going to do here? So someone got a helmet on a stick, like seen in the films, on you know, where they stuck it up, which distracted them enough, we thought, where the other team of snipers popped their head up and then whack again. Now, we don't know what they were that this guy was firing. We never heard anything like it. It was powerful, and it managed. Do you know what Hesco basking is? It's like 2 metre by 2 metre filled with gravel basket that all these compounds and fobs and stuff are made out of. It'd gone through one of them, through a tin of ammunition, and through a railway sleeper, and kept on going into the distance this round. And we were going, fuck me. And it was even closer. So we were like, he's not going to miss again. The next person that pops their head up, they're going to get the good news here. So we need to do something. So then it was decided that the building we were in here, there was another one over here about 100 metres away, which sort of gives us a bit of a better angle. And then one at a time, we had to go for the fucking chicken run. No smoke grenades or anything. It was just cigarettes getting passed down the line. You'll go, mate, off we go, bang, and run for it while this sniper's trying to take us. And he didn't get any of us, luckily, touch wood. But the story ended quite shit with 2 Apache helicopters coming and taking him out, and not us snipers, which fucking pissed us off. Got a bit of a being up on it about that one. It still annoys me today. But it was just another day. Do you know what I mean? The following day happened again, the same sort of stuff. And it went on and on and on until the point where I suppose the civilized version of us started to get lost, and we started becoming war dogs. And that's all we wanted. We wanted a contact every day. And if we didn't get it, we were fucking pissed off. Like we were there for a reason. We wanted to do as much as we could.
What was it like for your first kill? Was it because all your training and that, Does it actually prepare you for doing the damage when you know you're signing up, or is it a different feeling?
Yeah, not at all. I don't know if anything could prepare you for it, to be honest. I think things like calling people or calling a person a target, things like that dehumanize it, and that does bring an element of a disconnect. But for me, especially, I used to sort of go into what I'd call my bubble in the book, which is it'd be like a meditative state almost, where I had to be calm because the slightest jitter you're going to miss. So if things are wrong, you're breathing heavy, you're not going to make that shot, and you just inevitably I was the number one target of fire. Target would be whopped in my direction as soon as they saw a sniper rifle, because it was important for them to, try and take us out, to the point where bounties were put on people's heads and things like that. But the first one that I could really see was we'd gone into an area. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and a few days before, American Delta Special Forces had gone into this place, and they took a hiding. A few of them had been killed, including the chopper pilot. And what we assumed was that they didn't have the right intel, and that there was more Taliban there than what they were aware of. So it was our job to go and kick the hornet's nest and find out how many there were. Turned out it was hundreds of them. So us snipers were split into 3 different groups. We all got into various choppers, and it was like, fucking hell. As we landed on the target or approached the target, it was, the beginning of Saving Private Ryan, when the fucking back end of the boat's going down. It was like that, mate. This chopper, the tailgate went down, and round stock went all over the place. We're fucking banking, dodging RPGs, and I'm going, fuck it, this is real. This was the most action and the most adrenaline that I'd felt, to be fair. And then we all sort of jumped off and very quickly dealt with the initial firefight, but we moved off into various compounds that were in the middle of like a labyrinth of 15-foot high walls with little alleyways and holes going through everywhere. So I've took up my position on this roof, which I ended up staying there for 13 hours, a distant bloody move off this roof. And I've seen this guy on a motorbike, and he's about 800 metres away. He's gone this way, he's come back, and he's gone this way again. But there was 2 guys on it. I kept doing it, and then I saw a minibus with a driver driving further away now. Just a driver, comes back, full of blokes. Comes back again, only him. So I figured out very quickly they're dropping people off, and all the snipers were seeing the same thing all around us. Very quickly, we'd been surrounded by hundreds. So it was a case of, right, for the first time, it felt like we're fighting for our lives here. This is going to be a bit of a tasty day. So I called down to the boss, who's on the ground, and said, right, I'm going to let this guy on the bike know that I've fucking seen him and I know what he's doing. So I'm going to let off a warning shot just in front of his tyre. Fucking hell. As I did, a crescendo of shit kicked off everywhere. Just machine guns, RPGs, everything. I thought, fucking hell. Well done, Ted. Nice one. But then I seen this guy run out from behind the building. This was about 650, 700 metres away. So, a fair distance, but for a sniper, it's your average sort of shooting range. So I knew it was going to be all right. And just as this guy sort of popped out from behind a tree, he's got his AK-47, and it looked to me like he was aiming directly at me, and I took it fucking personally, and it pissed me off. And then this is where it all changed for me then. Because I'd made it personal, I then started to think of mates that had been killed, and I started to hold this one young guy who was my age, maybe a little bit younger, so maybe in his late teens, early 20s. I could start to hold him personally responsible, and this fucking rage built up in me. And it was the first time I'd fired with anger. And fucking hell, I knew from mentioning early on about 10 pence pinches, we could fucking put around wherever we wanted to, and I wanted to put it in his throat, so I fucking did. And the reaction that happened afterwards was something that stuck with me a long, long time. I could, for years, I'd see this guy dropping his weapon and holding his fucking throat together, and sort of, he was a human being all of a sudden. He was no longer a target. He was some young lad that was dying, and what I figured out was he was calling out to his friend behind a different building, who then came out, let off a few shots, and I fucking got him. And then another one came, and I got him, and I got another one. And before long, I've got a fucking pile. And I'm going, fuck, hell, this is mad as fuck. This is mental. I was still calm. And ready for more. But very soon, I wasn't aware that the other snipers had been doing the same, and we'd been fucking kicking ass. It turned out these hundreds of Taliban, they were no match for us. And they very quickly retreated. We got back on choppers later that evening. And as we've landed back in Bastion, the main camp there, I've got off the chopper and his Land Rover's turned up. And some female officers said, come with me, Ted. I was like, where are we going? She was like, oh, I'm going to introduce you to a reporter from the Telegraph. I was like, right, okay, yeah. And they're going to interview you. I said, what are they interviewing me about? Oh, today. Oh, fuck me. Right, okay. I had no idea, mate. I was in a world of fucking, I don't even know what. So I'm sat there 45 minutes after taking the last life, talking to a reporter, going, oh yeah, just don't mention casualties or helicopters. And I'm going, right, okay, yeah, smashing. And I look back at this report, Jesus, you can see from what I'm saying that I'd already started to lose my mind. I'd already started to become this fucking animal that thrived on killing, which later became an addiction, which was a very, very fucking scary time. Very scary, but in that job was a very useful one to have.
Yeah, I think it's important to disconnect though, because as soon as you start giving feelings and emotions and overthinking it, the normal, natural human mind doesn't want to harm anybody. Naturally, instantly, you're born with goodness.
Yeah.
So I think to desensitize yourself, it's important, same as doctors, nurses, it's all different jobs, but you kind of not to show emotion and grow a connection, because as soon as you do that, the mind goes.
Yeah.
You've seen that straight away after all the killings?
Straight away after that day in particular, I started to, I don't know why, it was a mixture of thinking, because I could see their faces so well, and I could see this young lad, I started to think these things of, fucking poor fucker, he must have been terrified. And the guys who were running out there and watching everyone that comes near this area get killed, they must have been terrified. And their families are going to be devastated. And these are people who've been given a narrative or live a certain lifestyle that's led them to this point, just as I have. And it was a case of it's either me or them. And for a long time, that sufficed. But it very quickly became, it wasn't me or them. I was a lot better than what they were, and the reality was they probably weren't, unless they got a very lucky shot, they weren't going to get me. And I started to feel bad then about what I'd done, almost like stealing from a kid. They had no chance, but I had to keep that inside, and I had to keep this face, even though I knew it was happening. I started writing poems, and I've always been a creative person, so I've always written music, drawn, so all these sort of things, and it started to come out in these little notebooks I would hide in from everyone. But my mind was unraveling here, and I was becoming fucking dangerous. But again, it was handy. And then these days kept coming, and kills kept coming, and contacts kept coming, all the way until probably about 3/4 of the way of the tour, where I ended up getting medically evacuated back to Camp Bastion, because I was a fucking man possessed. I had a constant 1,000-yard stare, and I didn't give a fuck. Nothing had my attention until it was pull that trigger time. I didn't give a fuck about anything. I started to not give a fuck about the hearts and minds bit, which is why I was there in the first place. Is why I wanted to help, and then this fucking thing that took over, which is another massively important reason why snipers need to be in teams, because you can share that load. If a spotter is seeing the same things as you can decompress together, whereas on your own you can't. And I couldn't share these. I was scared to share what my thoughts were, because at the time I'd never heard of PTSD. I'd never heard the term mental health or anything then. I just knew that if you start talking like that, your career's at an end. So keep your mouth shut and keep going. I wanted to have a good career in the military, and I wanted to sort of elevate. I had plans, special forces plans. That was my ultimate dream. So keep your mouth shut and you might get your dream. fucking hell, it snowballed massively. The second to last contact before I got took off the ground was I made 3 shots at a mile away, which was fucking. I'm proud. I'm proud of that because that is it was a goal that I wanted to achieve. Was making a shot at when you see shooter and stuff, and there's only a handful of people in the world that can make a shot like that. But I was like, fucking yeah, mate, me. But I did that. It turned out one of them was a Taliban commander, which again kicked up a fucking hornet's nest that ended up with a lot of stuff going on in the area, which I felt bad for because then I got withdrew from the front lines and left the lads there, left my mates to deal with it. Ended up within a week of me coming back to Bastion and being told by a psychiatric nurse that you might have, you're a bit overtired, which was the main thing. Go and have a couple of weeks rest, go and work in the stores, and you'll be all right. You'll be fine. Then fucking one of my best mates got blown up, another one of the lads from the regiment got killed. All the casualties kept coming in, and that made me feel like dog shit then, because I'd let everyone down. My mental health would let me down. I'd let everyone down, and then I just gave myself the hardest of times, mate. I was so close to crying. Have you ever been so frustrated that you just cry? I just kept fucking doing it, but I wouldn't cry in front of anyone, so it just kept boiling up inside of me until there was about 10 days left on the tour, and one of the commanders was like, this is shit, but I need a small team to go out and do a job. Everyone else is coming back in. I was like, fucking yeah, me. And I was allowed back out on the condition that I didn't take my sniper rifle. Man, I thought, this is bullshit, but I'm glad they did, because I'd have spent that 10 days hunting without a shadow of a doubt. And then that 10 days came to an end with a couple of Taliban digging in an IED on the road where we were, which was meant for us, and a Predator drone missile turned them into pink mist. 2 days later, I'm in my local pub, fucking stark ballot naked, stood on the table, trying to act normal, like with my mum and dad here, all my friends, aunties and uncles, and I'm fucking drinking blue wickets with shots of vodka in it, anything I can get my hand on. And I thought that was normal. I thought, yeah, well done, Ted, you're doing a fucking great job of being normal here, mate.
Were you doing it yourself then, with the snipers out daily yourself?
Yeah, always, yeah. So there's a lot of
how long would you go hunting for? How long would you be in the same position for?
It sort of depend on what was happening at the time. So that 13-hour contact. That was probably the longest I ever stayed in one position, constantly doing something. The rest of the time, we'd have forward operating bases, and we would then these would be on like the very front lines of the green zone where we were on the Taliban's front doors, and it was a constant battle of pushing them backwards and backwards and backwards. And so it became quite the norm then for me to stay and not go on patrols because I could see everything. So I was quite lucky in that way, because being on a foot patrol as a sniper is fucking daunting. You've got this massive weapon and like a sidearm. You might have like a 9mm pistol or something, but it's a scary feeling walking through in like close confined areas where anything could happen at any moment and you can only shoot far away. You're sort of in this world of fucking hell, lads, you've got me here, which I knew they did, because they had, 100 times beforehand there'd be stuff going on behind me, and I had to be in the zone looking down my scope and again be calm as fuck to be able to do what I had to do. So there's a lot of trust there.
What rifle did you use?
I had a 338, so you got a 50 cal, and then the next one down, basically. So you're talking rounds about this big. You could, if you missed someone close enough, it'd probably rip the skin off your body. These weapons, these sniper rifles, were designed for shooting engine blocks. They were designed for being in a helicopter and shooting an engine block to stop a car. So there was no worries about, you didn't have to shoot anyone twice. Let's put it away.
How far can they go? How far can you actually shoot with those?
So on the pamphlet, it'll tell you 1,500 meters as harassing fire, which means sort of in and around the area. But that was mainly down to the abilities of the scope. So, for instance, those shots that I made from a mile away, I wasn't actually looking at the targets. I was sort of look, suss where they are, and then I'd be up in the air and do what a lot of people call lobbing it in. So bing, and it lands on top. In the book, I talk about this in particular day with the mile shots, and just how pulling the trigger and being that far away that they didn't know the trigger had been pulled until it was too late, and especially that day, the animal in me devised a plan where these three guys, with the commander in the middle, were walking away from just attacking my mates down the road, and they very nearly got some of them. I designed this plan to take out the rear bloke at the patrol, which I knew, being far enough away, like I just said, they wouldn't have heard the crack until it was too late. And it worked perfectly. The two front guys, well, the front and centre guy, turned around to see one of the back's dead. The commander turned around to one at the front. Next minute, he's dead. And the commander's on his own. He give it legs. And the rest was history. But it was a very strange feeling to be that far away and completely out of a contact and actually pulling a trigger as a sniper. That was probably the biggest sniper day that I had, where I think it was like 11 calculations I had to make in the end to get this round over to where they needed to be.
What's the most you killed in one day?
5.
See, when you become so good at your craft,
Yeah.
do you not get paranoid that somebody's just as good and they'll compromise your position and you could get winning in that?
Absolutely, yeah. Especially with the hired gun that I talk about in the book. That was we knew he was good because of how he was acting. We didn't see him for starters. We did not see him. All we knew was that if you pop your head up for more than a millisecond, he was going to get you.
Could they hire people from Britain or America or certain other places who are highly trained to kill for them?
I'd never heard of that. No, there was a lot of Chechens at the time. That was the that was going around on the nod vine of who it was. I don't know, to be honest. I think that's a bit above my pay grade. Very, very likely. I imagine there's people out there who would do it. Like I know there's people from Britain that were arrested over there with, Leeds United tattoos and things like that. So they were there, which again, that fucking fed into my PTSD massively, where I never felt safe when I came home. I constantly felt under threat.
Paranoid?
Very, very, yeah. Paranoid and violent. The slightest wrong look to me, once I'd come back, was just a fucking instigator, because it's go time. What the fuck are you looking at? Who are you? Why are you looking at me like that, motherfucker?
Do you feel as if, because a lot of people do go rogue,
Yeah.
when they're doing so much killing in certain countries, did you ever feel that there could have been a point where you just went on a killing spree here, or was that just a bit too far-fetched?
Yeah,
Where you completely lose your mind and you're not in control?
No, I think because of who I am at my core, and this leads into something I talk about in the book called a moral injury, which I was diagnosed with, which again I'd never heard of where you're saying you're born with good in you.
Mm-hmm.
I was a good guy, and I am again now, which I'm very fucking happy about. Like I'm back to normal now. I'm Ted. I'm not Ted the sniper anymore so much. I've separated myself from that, but there was this narrative in my head. The internal monologue was, these people don't know who I am. I could do this. I could do that. Never would have, but knowing that I had the ability to do these things, and then things, like getting job offers and things in like private security sectors and stuff like that, that was always tempting. But I knew that would have been it. That would have been the end of me. I think that would have been how I died, because it was so tempting, and the money is so tempting. And it was an opportunity. It would have been an opportunity to pull that trigger again, and probably with not as much scrutiny. So it was a very dangerous offer, but one I had to refuse.
So it was more about the killing. Fuck the money in it. But I think once you get to that level of violence, that's the ultimate,
Yeah.
I think it's how do you replace that? Craig Harrison, who's a good friend.
Yeah.
Sniper, done amazing work, and he really battles. He's still doing his thing, but
Yeah, I'm sitting down in a couple of weeks with him, actually.
great guy. But he was the same. He felt more at peace
Yeah.
killing in the war zone than he did actual in peace. So
Yeah.
it's hard to then, how do you then separate real life from being a sniper, where you're just getting offered jobs, you don't really want them, and I just want to kill again.
Yeah.
It must do some adrenaline jumping and up and down in the dump after it. It must be the ultimate feeling, you know, of what's going on. It must take you to the depths of hell.
It does. You experience extremes, the most extremes. You know, like I jumped out of planes and stuff, and it was fucking nothing compared to that. No drug or activity or anything could ever compare to that. Not necessarily saying it was a good thing and something that I enjoyed, but the satisfaction of it and the knowing that fucking hell, I've read stories or seen films about these snipers, and then the realization of going, fucking hell, yeah, I'm one of them now. And it quickly led to a fucking, I don't know, a bit of an ego thing, to be honest, where I thought I was the bollocks and I thought I was invincible. But all I wanted to do was get back there. I would often be crying my fucking eyes out after being home through frustration and sadness that I wouldn't be going back until the following year, which isn't a long time, but it was too far away for me. So I started looking at transferring to different regiments that were about to deploy there and doing all this stuff because I was happy there. And back home, I was miserable. I was sad and I was fucking useless. I felt like a world-class footballer who's had an injury and then you're nothing. You know, it was that hero to zero feeling. We came home, we'd have like cities with fucking thousands of people on the side of the roads cheering as we marched through, and the British public was very on side, and that fed into it. That was like, fucking hell, I need to do this. There's a war that needs to be won and finished and done with, and I'm very capable of fucking helping that happen. Just like Craig, it was definitely something that I was more happier.
Is that difficult, being a hero and being around your comrades who know what you're about, who know you're an expertise of what you do, to then coming home, nobody really knows you, and you're thinking, you don't know how dangerous I am, where somebody's giving you a slight look, because looks can be deceiving. You're a trained killer at the end of the day, and you're thinking, listen, I could fucking end you like that. That is trying to separate the trained killer to the normal civilian?
Yeah, that was a big struggle for me. Violence became a fucking weekly occurrence, and trying to numb myself with alcohol, and then obviously being a pissed up fucking idiot looking for violence. I'd go to the roughest pubs and look for the angriest, hardest looking cunt because I wanted to kick him. And there'd be times where I'd fight back, and there'd be times where I wouldn't, and I just wanted to fucking feel something. But the moral injury side of things, which is what when you're young, you very quickly decide what's right and wrong. It was wrong on a core level. Inside, I knew what I'd done was wrong. I'd taken loads of lives and fucking enjoyed it. And I really had to wrestle with my consciousness to get through that. And it took many, many years, because every time that a funny look, or even an alpha male sort of figure walking into a room, it would fucking set me off, where you've got no idea. You have no idea. And sometimes I would enjoy that. Sometimes I would hate it, because I was scared that someone would upset me and that guy had fucking come out again. And that guy on Civvy Street, that's not going to fucking end well. That's going to end in me in jail or someone hurt. And that petrified me. I never, ever, ever want to throw a punch again in my life. I never want to be a part of anything violent or angry. I avoid things like the news because it fucking pisses me off, and I can't afford to get pissed off. Life's too short, and I'm so grateful that I'm here. Like, I attempted suicide multiple occasions after this, but I just couldn't fucking live with, one, a tedious life that wasn't war, and two, on the flip side of that coin, I couldn't fucking handle what I'd done. I just kept thinking about the people I'd killed, families, and fucking how shit that must have been, knowing how shit it is for us, having friends been killed and knowing their parents and, these sort of things. And I just give myself the hardest of times. I was in a fucking nut house for 3 months, and with nothing to do except for see other people who seemed to me like in a way worse condition. I didn't belong there. I didn't deserve the help. Thank fuck that the NHS was full of incredible nurses that cast everything I said to one side about me being horrible and who I was. They just saw They saw who I was inside, and they nurtured me, literally 24/7, nurtured me back to a point where I could speak again. I was fucking seeing the young lad that I shot in the throat. I was seeing him in the fucking streets as a, he wasn't there, and I turned my head and he'd be there. He was in my nightmares. He was ripping me from my bed every single night, where I'd have these nightmares where his mouth would be stitched shut and his eyes would be stitched shut and this fucking gaping hole in his neck that drove me mad with sadness, which is a horrible feeling of being so sad that you just don't know what to do. Which ended up, I think I was on about 14 or 15 tablets a day to just keep me in a sedated state where I wasn't violent and I wasn't trying to fucking do something stupid.
How long were you a sniper for?
It was fucking very short, mate. It was, did the course. A few months later, deployed on that tour. That tour was 6 months. Come back, and as soon as I was back, it was over. I realised it was over when my company went into the armory to get all the weapons and clean them all after the tour, get all the shit off them. And I'd not touched my sniper rifle since, and on my sniper rifle I'd drawn skull and crossbones with the distances for every kill, and which had become a bit of a talking point round Camp Bastion. People had heard of it and seen it, and I'm like, yeah, that's me, mate, yeah, fucking like a little celebrity bastard. But as soon as I saw that, I lifted my weapon up and I started throwing up. I fucking dropped to my knees. I couldn't see, and my eyes just went black. It's ringing in my ears. I could smell dust. And what was happening? I was having a flashback for the first ever time. Didn't know what had happened, mate. I thought I was dying. I had no idea what was going on, and everyone around me was like, "Fucking hell, bro, you all right?" I was like, "Yeah, so mate, just fucking a few too many drinks last night." Just cast it off because I knew if I say anything, it's the end of my career. A couple of weeks later, I had an incident at home. I was living with my parents. And a very quick version, I fucking flew across the table in a blackout rage and ended up fighting with my dad on the floor. And I come round and realised what I was doing, and I was disgusted in myself. And that was the changing point then, because I thought, right, not too asked about filling in people I don't know. All right, it's not very nice, but I don't know you. And fucking anyone that watches this, I'm very, very fucking sorry. I'm sorry if I was a dickhead to these people. Hope that they can forgive me. I was going through some shit, which is a big lesson I've learned. Your problem's your fucking problem, not anyone else's. And it should never have been. But once this happened, I then spoke up, got back, spoke to my platoon sergeant and said, look, this is what's been going on. I think I need some help. And that took a lot. It was basically saying, yeah, I'm going to have to face the fact this is going to be the end of my career. But I can't go on. Can't keep doing this. Within an hour, I was in front of a psychiatric nurse who couldn't diagnose me, but said, yeah, I think you've got post-traumatic stress disorder. You're probably going to get therapy, some medication, and there was no talk about like getting medical discharge or anything like that. It was very much sort of like one step at a time. The system failed me then, which is quite shit to say, but the military medical staff at the time, I think there was an influx from the Afghan conflict, and they were learning from pamphlets that were fucking older than I was, and the people who were trying to help people like myself hadn't been to these places. They'd not been shot at. They'd not experienced this stuff, and they just fucking infuriated me, and I couldn't open up. And to be in therapy, you have to be honest. You have to be completely, bluntly honest, and I couldn't do it. I didn't, for many reasons, but one was I didn't want this person going home tonight, sitting in front of the telly and thinking, fucking hell, about the thing that I just told them about, all my thoughts that were going on, especially about my nightmares. I had nightmares about fucking killing everyone I knew, and what you were talking about then about, was there a potential I could do these things? No, but it was definitely running around in my consciousness somewhere.
How many kills did you have on your gun? How many did you put on your gun?
On there was 12. They were the ones that I was happy to confirm. I believe there's more than that. I'm not sure how many more.
But one day, as a sniper's enough for you to lose your mind.
Yeah.
And to be the hero and to be around the brothers to doing the same job where you don't question it because you're in that bubble, like you says, but when you come out that bubble, you've got gangsters here and maybe slash someone or hit someone with a bottle and you're thinking, I've killed people.
Yeah.
I could end your life. So you can't separate reality from war because it's all the same. Look, that bubble can eventually pop, even just a little hole in it to let some air in.
Yeah.
It's enough for the negativity and the conscience. Because like I say, anybody I know that's been in war struggle, anybody I know it does, it's not this totally different, but porn or who do drugs or who do bad. We know what we're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
But in our mind, we try and make things out that it's okay, you know, we try and justify, which is important, but then again, we can't, like, I would never slate any servicemen or anybody who's my grandparents fought in the wars. I loved them to bits. Obviously now we've got things where we can question things. We've got social media that maybe doesn't paint a certain picture that we believed in, that we think we were doing the right thing, so it can be difficult to be patriotic. Fight for your country's the best thing ever, but then when you come back, Iraq, weapons of mass destruction, what happened there? You start questioning it. Are they bad dictators? Look at the damage Britain's caused, America.
Yeah.
Why are we fighting these people? Are they just protecting themselves? Like, you must have all these unanswered questions.
God, yeah. Constantly, that was a big one. I didn't know why the fuck we were there. I knew why I was there, and I knew why the lads were there, and it became a thing. Right, we weren't fighting a war for the government. We signed up and we went there because that was our orders, but I was fighting for him and he was fighting for me. You know, the guys next to you, that's why we fought so hard, because we didn't want to fucking come home with any of us in a box. But, you know, unfortunately that did happen.
What was it like losing friends?
Fucking shit, mate. Especially when, you know, that sort of line of thinking comes through, like, what was it for? Why were we doing that? Still don't really know. Don't think anyone will ever know the actual definite truth. I'm not sure, but it felt like a waste. And then seeing lads who've, you know, had catastrophic life-changing injuries. Oh, fucking hell, man. I remember coming home and one of the lads had lost 2 of his legs and his eyesight and half his hand, and he was in a real bad way, mate. And fucking hell, this made me cry so much. I remember sitting on his bed feeding him with a spoon and just sort of thinking, why, man? Even 19. And I was like, why is this? Why have we done this? And that's when, as soon as I started questioning why, it was like, was it worth it? Was it fucking this? Was it that? And then, you know, when we find out that Taliban have taken over control again and took all this land back that people that we know have fucking died for, that puts you in a very sticky position of what a fucking waste of time. Or you can look at it as, we did our best. We did it while it was there. It was safe while we were there. There's just so many avenues you can go down of thinking. I don't think I've ever spoken to any ex-squads who have the answers for that, really. I'm not sure you've interviewed plenty of them. I'm sure you can put a lot of it into context.
There's so many questions unanswered, but at that moment, you're doing the right thing. You're being patriotic. You want to save your own people. That's the best thing you can ever do. Like I say, I don't want wars. I don't want violence, but it doesn't stop them happening.
Yeah.
And like I say, I've got many brothers who have fought in wars, who've killed people, who've died, who've been suicidal. I still love them. That was the decisions they made. There was decisions I used to just sniff gear and drink alcohol when I thought it was normal. I don't agree with it now.
Yeah.
But there's just certain things in life that lead you down those paths. And at those moments, it's not a bad thing to sign up and fight for your country.
No.
It's just obviously when you do all the damage and nothing really changes and the government don't really give a fuck about you.
Yeah.
We've got majority of veterans who are homeless homeless are veterans. Where's their help? That makes me angry.
Yeah.
That's our brothers and sisters there who are willing to die for you, give you a secure place, but yet nobody fights for them. And there's, like I said, you can just keep spinning round in that.
You can't really land on an
can't really get the sweet spot to make you feel better.
Yeah, no, there isn't one. And what I ended up doing was sort of just putting things into context. Why I did that, why I did this. You know, when you're living on half-time rations because choppers can't come in and get enough water to you, or, you know, you're living on 3-4 hours sleep a night, it's easy to see why you know, you can sort of lose your mind and become this callous fucking, I keep saying the word animal, but it's how we were. It's how, but you had to be, because if you weren't, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. You're in a war zone. It's very hard to sort of there'd be times where you'd just be playing cards with the lads or something, and for a minute, you and the mates having a moment, you know, and then it'd kick on you. Oh, fucking hell, yeah. Fuck me. You sort of forget where you are for a minute, and then you're back into it. And then after a while, you stop forgetting, and you can't come down from that 100. You're living on 99 constantly, and I was at 99 for years. I'd think cars were following me. Fuck knows why. I have no idea. The weirdest things of sort of, I'd then have to get away, and I'd fucking zipping through places and making sure that if I was behind a car that was at traffic lights, I'd leave space, and my curtains would be closed all the time in the house, and doing all these certain things that became really deconstructive, to be honest. They were learnt behaviours that kept my PTSD alive, and it wasn't until I sort of went and travelled the world and put myself completely out of my comfort zone that I was able to actually let this kind of thing go. With a lot of therapy, like I was in therapy once a week for 3 years. I had a spiritual mentor as well, this was all new stuff to me. And that really helped. A lot of sort of meditation and sort of alternative methods, like cannabis, for instance. I get it prescribed now, and a lot of people have got funny views on it. Me personally, the first time I smoked it, that was the first night I didn't have a nightmare. And I tried it the second night, didn't have a nightmare. I'd find myself fucking furious, and I'd fucking smoke cannabis, and it'd stop. It would all sort of go away, which then led me into sort of things like microdosing psilocybin, mushrooms, and DMT, which DMT was a world changer for me. That was a big eye opener, and it allowed me to sort of forgive myself a lot. I felt a lot of forgiveness, which I talk about this story completely in the book. It's a funny one.
What's the worst thing that sticks out in your mind? What's the worst thing you've seen?
I think it's hard on that. I think it was a young lad that I shot in the throat. I think because I meant to shoot him in the throat. It was up. When you're a kid and you kick a football and you go, fuck, I was going to hit that glass, it's going to smash. And then you go, oh, fuck. It felt like that. It felt like, oh, fuck me. Whoa. And then I was fixated on just watching him die. And then for years, all day, every day, all I could see was this fucking guy dying over and over and over again and holding his hand out. And just his last moments on earth were he was petrified, you know, and he was a young lad. And I felt really bad for that.
Why the neck? Why not the head? I thought they went for the head because I've seen the Charlie Kirk video then when he gets shot in the throat. Is that a proper target then for snipers?
It wasn't a thing, no. It was, so we all found out that being a sniper was a very creative job, at all elements of it. And for me, the shot in the throat, this is hard to say, I wanted him to suffer because at the time I was holding that one guy personally responsible for the death of my friends, which was the demise of me. It was the end of it. Whether I'd just gone for a headshot probably would have been different, to be honest, because those few seconds afterwards, they were fucking horrific. That was the worst thing I've ever fucking seen in my life.
So do you think you're suffering for that more by making him suffer?
Yeah, big time. I regretted it. I wish I didn't do it. I do wish I didn't do it, but on the other hand, I had to do it because he was fucking trying to kill me.
No, that's it, brother. Like I said, I don't have the answers for you, and I've certainly never been there, but you were doing the right thing in your mind at that time.
Yeah.
You know, it's hell or be killed. Both are signing up to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
No issues with it. So, like you say, thank you for your service, for what you've done. Again, I don't want wars. I don't want them, but certain media and certain outlets can portray as that. We need to do it. We need to go and fight. That's just the way the world is. When was the first time you tried to kill yourself?
It was 2012. It was cold and rainy and fucking miserable in North Wales. And it had all just got too much. This film reel kept playing over and over and over in my head of all the shots. It was sort of like a fucking highlight reel of bang, 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 one after the other, just going over and over and over, and it wouldn't fucking stop. And then the anger and the sadness just became too much, to the point where I had this fucking doctor who told me that your PTSD is going to be for life. You're going to have to learn to live with your symptoms, and you know, you'll be able to get by. I thought, fuck that. I'm not bullshit. And if anyone's heard that, tell them to fuck off, because it's not true. It goes. I now live a PTSD-free life. It's gone. It's completely gone. But we'll come into that. But I kept hearing this thing and thinking, I'm not being like this forever. I might fuck. Like, it's a matter of time until I do something stupid and I end up in prison, or I fucking hurt someone really badly, or, you know, I lose everybody around me, because everyone had to be on eggshells around me, and I hated that. I really hated that. And I thought, the best thing I can do right now is end it. I can kill myself, and yes, everyone will be sad, but a few years' time, they'll, you know, move on, but they won't have to fucking be scared of what I'm going to do. Or, you know, my parents, I was still living with my parents at this time, and, you know, they would come home and my dad would check on me in the morning, and fucking all the time I'd wake up, my face stuck to the pillow, covered in cuts and bruises, and oh, I've done it again, I've fucking done it again, and the bottles of whiskey all over the floor, and it was a fucking shit life. I hated every day. I hated myself, I hated my life, I hated what I'd done. So, picked up the car keys in my bedroom, went into my kit bag. I always used to have this fucking bug out bag. Right, and I bet loads of the blokes who didn't need to do the same thing. There's this fucking bag, and I've got rid of it because my wife was like, fucking get rid of that, you're not going anywhere, you prick. So I'm like, right, so until a few years ago, I got rid of it. But I went in my bag and I got my fucking army issued knife, and I was like, right, yeah, this is it. I went downstairs and mum and dad were watching the telly. I was like, right, guys, I'm just going to pop out for a little bit, a little smile on my face, love you both loads, see you in a bit. Got out, got in the car, and I fucking knew where I was going. Went to this little quiet spot just on the edge of the village I live, like this, just in front of this church, and there's a castle there, and nice river in front. It's a fucking beautiful spot. And for the first time, I realised how beautiful this little village was. I'd never noticed it before. But I sat there and I had the same fucking songs playing. Johnny Cash, Hurt. That was on repeat constantly. There's a band called The National. It was in Tom Hardy film, The Warrior. You know, where he's fighting his brother in a cage fight. I think there's a song on there about, it's called About Today. These two songs, and every time they played, I was getting sadder and sadder and trying to fucking get myself to actually do it. And I just thought, what the fuck are you doing, mate? You're wasting time. Bang. And I got the knife out straight into the wrist, and I started going, and I was crying my eyes out, and I just kept saying, fucking sorry, mate. I'm so fucking sorry. And I was so sorry. I didn't want to fucking die. And as this blood was pissing out all over me, I was thinking, fucked up here. I don't want to die. Fuck no. And a mate of mine, years later, gave me a good analogy. He was like, did you want to press pause or press stop? You know, and I was like, I just want to fucking press pause, mate. I didn't want to turn it all off. But I had no other option. It was the master switch was the only thing I was in control of. And it became a very dangerous temptation. And luckily, I'd started to bleed out quite a bit, but I got on the phone and rung one of my mates, and I was like, mate, I've done something very stupid, where are you? And she was like, oh, I'm at home, come round. Fucking knobhead. So I went round, she didn't know what I'd done. I said, right, I need loads of sugary cups of tea and some bandages, and I bandaged myself up and I managed to fall asleep in the living room. She caught me later that night, though, trying to sneak out and do it, like finish the job. But the very next day, I had an appointment in Donington, which was a 2-hour drive away from me. I used to do it every week. On my own, medicated up to fuck. It was fucking ridiculous, mate. But I was there and I tried my best to hide these bandages under my jumper sleeve, and the doc's seen it. And then from there, it was like, right, for your own good, we're going to have to section you. And that was it then. I got sent off to Peterborough, fucking other side of the country. Very quickly, spoke to my parents on the phone, said, look, I'm getting sent away. We thought this was going to happen anyway. I packed a bag ready. And that was me, mate. 3 months of hurt. 3 months of hurt, of not just my own, but seeing other people hurting. And it was a very, very sad thing to see. Like, I was seeing people there, loads of people that had tried to kill themselves and fucking cut bits of themselves off and oh, some nasty stuff. And I just thought, fucking hell, man, I don't belong here. I want to die, and I still wanted to die. Until nurses and doctors and psychiatric teams sort of got me to a point where I didn't want to die anymore. They literally had to check on me every 15 minutes to make sure I hadn't fucking tried something stupid.
Suicide watch.
Yeah, I planned it. And they put me in this room. Fair dues, them rooms do work. You can't hurt yourself in them. You can't do it. But it made me sort of, sad. But one day, about 3 or 4 weeks in, maybe, one of the nurses was like, "Dad, do you want to go into town? Just me and you, we'll go." And I was like, I was so grateful for him for offering. So we got a bus, went into town. I bought a guitar. That was my saving grace. That was it. I started writing all these songs that was like therapy to myself, and songs that I still listen to back like today. Every now and then, if I have a funny day, I can look back and go, "You were in a terrible state then. Right now, I'm a different human being. I am positivity. I have to be positive because I've been to like you said before, the depths of hell, mate. I've had the shittest time. So I appreciate every day now. I appreciate it like this, just coming here and you saying like, yeah, you know, like get you on the fucking hell. You should see me jumping around the house, mate. Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. And now this book's coming out and I can't believe it. Feels like everything was worth it because this book's going to help people that were in my position. And I found that when I tried to help people in the past, it had the detrimental effect on me. It would pull me in. So I couldn't really do it anymore, which I want to do. I want to help people, and hopefully people will listen to this and go, right, fucking hell, from this brief sort of chat that we've had, that if they're in a town, like, you don't have to be a fucking sniper to be having a shit time. That was a mega thing that I realised. People would always go, "Oh, it's nothing compared to you." I'm like, it's not a competition. If you're having a bad time, you feel bad. There's no point system and stuff, but there is ways that you can get better. But the one thing is positivity. You've got to wake up and be positive.
Yeah. But a lot of people will be rooting for you. You can tell you're a good guy. You can tell you've got a lot of, listen, you're a war hero no matter what. You're a hero for such a thing, you know, for what you've done. So you can't take that away because you've done what you've done at that time. And a lot of people will be supporting you. Like I say, it's because you've done the worst of the worst as well, you sometimes compare it. Well, you've only been maybe punched or knocked down. Why are you struggling with PTSD? But everybody handles life differently, you know. Obviously, you know your mind was slipping. You know what you'd done, and you knew that you needed help. You wanted to take your life. But when did the penny drop when you realised, I need to really work at this here to make changes?
It was when me and my wife first got together. I'd come back from years of travelling abroad and like doing a year in Australia and, you know, doing the circuit as you do. And I thought I was okay. I thought I was just a bit sad and I was doing all these amazing things, but it was still there. I came home and me and my wife, we got together and I very quickly realised that fucking hell, this hasn't gone anywhere. I've just hidden it with distractions and alcohol and blaming things like, oh, fucking Sonny punched him and fucking I was pissed, or, you know, blaming it on that sort of shit. And I wanted to change. I wanted to change for me because I wanted my life back, but I could see the influence with a bit of hindsight now. I could see the influence I was having on the people around me, and I love my wife to bits, and I wanted to be the person I know I am and the person I am today. I wanted to be that for her. And that sort of made me go, right, I'm going to get back into therapy, which was like a 12-month waiting list. This NHS Veterans Wales, it's called. They are such an underfunded godsend. They're saving lives, and they're doing it in like spare office rooms of hospitals and stuff, you know, the life-changing people. But that 12 months, that's when I started to get into the sort of spirituality side of things and meditation and that mindfulness sort of mindset, I suppose, of just being grateful. And it took a long time and it stuck. And meditation, I've been meditating for years, but it was the first time I really took it serious and did it with a bit of an intent. So I got a lot of help with that. There's a lady from Austria, of all places. I've met her online and she offered her help. And every day we would have these phone calls she was amazing, absolutely amazing. She understood that compassion was what I needed. I didn't need fucking man up, or you'll be all right, or you know, I didn't need these things. Or one that would wind me up was, well, it was you or them, wasn't it? And it fucking pissed me off at the time, because I'd be like, well, no, it wasn't, because one, it fucking cost over £1 million to train me. It didn't cost that to fucking train them. They had no chance. And it started to make me turn in on myself a little bit more, until I started doing these things like have you heard of like the inner child?
Yeah,
and that's that kind of thing. Fucking what an experience. Having a meditation with that sort of thing in mind, and forgiveness meditations. I'd meditate and sort of just put it out into the ether that like I'm not delusional, you know what I mean? But I do these things that I put it out that the people I'd killed, I'd apologise to them, and I genuinely meant it. And this one day I was meditating, and just all this forgiveness like washed over me, and it just felt weird. It was, I don't know what it was, I don't know what happened, but for the first time I thought, I've made moves here. I'm no longer on that bottom rung of the ladder. I've elevated myself to a point where I can actually get a bit of control of this. And as soon as I did that, it changed. That's when I started microdosing psilocybin. I only did it for a few months, but fucking hell, what a difference, you know. And people have their opinions on these things, but people have been doing it for thousands of years, you know, all this sort of stuff. And like ayahuasca and DMT and stuff, when I did that, fucking hell. Well, I'm not going to ask you if you've done it.
I have done it.
Oh, there you go, then, fair one.
Yeah.
So you get it.
Yeah, of course.
It's,
because as humans, we're always searching. We always want answers. Every single human. We deflect it through our work ethic, or being a better mum, or whatever. We put that into. We're always trying to figure it out. When really, sometimes life's not to be figured out as well. It's just getting on with it. But when you go through different levels, but you were a man who was willing to kill, willing to die for his country. Do you feel as if the system supported you when you come back, or have they failed you?
Oh, that's hard. The NHS saved me. One guy in particular, he'll talk about a lot in the book. He doesn't know I'm doing this. He doesn't know a book exists. I don't know if he'll ever hear about this, but one guy in particular, my therapist, he changed my life. Everything else was, I felt like a hindrance. I felt like I didn't want to get in touch with the army because I got medically discharged. So I was on the scrap heap to them. And you know, the big green machine is going to keep moving forward, whether you're on it or not. It's going forward. And very quickly, they were off on their next tour. And I'm still fucking out of my mind, and lads are dying again. So I felt like I couldn't get in touch with anyone because of either they thought I was weak, they thought I was playing on it to try and just get out of the army, or try and get like a payout, or, you know, one of those sort of things, or I didn't want to bring their mental health down. So the system, I do believe, has fucking let me down a bit. I'm not pissed off about it anymore. I was. There's just not like a 12-month waiting list, for instance. If that happened when I was at my worst, I'd have been dead. Definitely. There's no way I'd have been allowed to last 12 months. No fucking way. And that, like, there's a lad from the regiment who only a few weeks ago has killed himself, you know, and it's still happening. It's happening fucking regularly. It's a few years ago, I read a thing like I'm sure it was 6 British soldiers had done themselves in a week. And that was the point where I started to write this book and go, fuck, this isn't right. What is going on? I don't know whether it's fear of, or at the time, I don't know how much things have changed in the military now. But I don't know whether it's fear of, don't talk about it, don't talk about it, don't talk about it. It'll be all right. Just shut up, have a drink, fun, crack on. And you know, when in the military, drinking and anger and violence are fucking encouraged. It's a lifestyle. It's very easy to go undetected when you've got problems. Right? Those blokes who were alcoholics that get up in the morning, go on parade, and everything would be fine. Everyone knew, but it was like, just don't fucking, you know, don't say anything. They'll be all right. Let them crack on.
Yeah.
They're fucking, they're dead. You know, it just seems too. It seems too blasé that a veteran or a serving soldier can kill themselves, and there'll be a little thing in the paper, and then nothing really gets done about it. Like, this should be in government regularly. This needs to be fucking spoke about, because these suits that are sent us over there to do their bidding, they fucking not owe us, but like treat us at least like fucking human beings, not just a veteran who is going through some struggles and we'll put a little bit of fun towards that and that'll do it. Fuck no, something massive needs to happen. Otherwise, you're going to have a epidemic on your bloody hands of fucking suicidal squaddies. And like, I was at a funeral 2 days ago of another one of the blokes from the regiment. And the general consensus was the young lads need to hear these stories. They need to be aware of it, and they need to, I'm not sure again how it's dealt with, but they need to be aware of how you can protect yourself. And if you become vulnerable or you start losing your way, how you get it back. And I think there's just massive conversations that need to be had, which I intend very much on doing. So I'll be doing a tour around Waterstones bookstores and army camps around Britain, doing this talk of how you can fucking look after yourself, and or how you can come back from the brink, you know, and the idea that there is light at the end of the tunnel. It isn't forever. So fuck those guys.
Why do you think you're still here?
Fucking hell.
Do you question it and think about, if you did end your life, how would it affected your parents?
It would have ruined so many people if I did. Ruined so many people. It wouldn't have been like all the music that I've done. There's so much music that I've made with various bands and stuff that wouldn't be there. And like just yesterday, I was listening to it all and just going, fucking hell, like, I'm so grateful for these opportunities. So I don't really ever think, oh, maybe if I wasn't here. But I do think about maybe if I didn't get help, how things would have been. And yeah, they'd probably been dead, to be honest. Probably. I was too sad, but another story in the book, why am I still here? I went to jump off a cliff first. That was the first one. Got fucking terrified of heights, mate. I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Shit myself, and I was like, oh, fuck that.
What was it like being when you got sectioned as well? Because what you were doing, if anything, you should be sectioned in Afghanistan when you're killing people.
Yeah.
Like when you actually break it down, because we've broke it down as different borders. The world is just one big place, but because it's certain borders people are telling you to hit these targets, it's normalised, which is okay, I guess, because you're still doing a job. But when you're actually being a mass murderer, when you're being a killer, you should be fucking sectioned off. There's someone in the army should be saying, some sergeant should be saying, you got
he
home,
likes this a bit too much.
It's mad because we've got these borders in our mind that we can accept it there, but as soon as you come back, then what, everything disappears? No.
Oh, mate,
but
I'm starred on
what was it like with? What was it like with when you were locked up? How was that feeling?
I felt hopeless. I literally felt like, unless these people are watching me, I'm gonna kill myself. So you better fucking keep what. Like, I hope you keep. Please don't let me do it. But I'm gonna fucking do it. I'm gonna kill myself because I couldn't keep on being so sad and so angry and so exhausted all the time, and seeing this fucking guy that wasn't there and having all these things. Like, mate, I cried so much. I used to sit there in my Afghanistan tour hoodie with the hood up, and I'd just be fucking sobbing. I was just so sad. I don't know, mate. It was eye-opening, but it was the first time that I was like, whoa, this is fucking serious. Like, I'm a patient now. And there'd be times where, like, really unwell people would kick off, and I'd go to sort of restrain them, and I'd be told off, like, and I just had to keep drilling it into my head that I was a patient. I wasn't me at all. I wasn't a sniper anymore. I wasn't the same mindset as what I was. I wasn't as resilient as what I used to be. And I look back at pictures now, and it used to make me sad that I'd go, fucking hell, he used to be able to do anything. But now I think this guy can do anything because he's fucking been through loads worse shit than that. And that spurs me on, mate. It really, really does. That having been to the very end, to the point where you want to kill yourself and you are like attempting to do it, that's the end. And it's horrible. But I now know that it's only up from here, because I'm never going to end up like that again. No chance. I've got the tools now. I don't want to share the tools.
That's the most important thing, that there is tools out there, no matter how dark, or if you think you're on your last legs, there's no way out, how dark the clouds are, what you've been through, what you've done. there is always a silver lining. There is. And I've interviewed enough people to understand, but it's just trying to see that, just trying to have that inner belief that there is going to be better, because when the mind is so dumbed down and so frustrated and so full of static and noise, sometimes people think it's the best option because they don't want to burden anybody else.
That's it.
So again, it's in those positions in life, we're not in control of how everybody else reacts. But if you are feeling like shit, there is help. There is better options.
Yeah.
There is a better future. You are. Once you switch those lights off, there's no coming back from that. You know, there's no written music. There's no more laughs with your partner or Christmas days with your family. That's it. It's gone. So anybody listening or watching, you are good enough. You can improve. You can make better decisions. But just because you can make better decisions, it doesn't stop you from fucking up either. It doesn't stop you from having negative thoughts, you know, no matter how well you think your life goes, and just understand you're not alone. You're not the only person who feels like shit, you know?
Yeah, that really helped me, that. Like Craig Allison, for instance, you know, for anyone who doesn't know, he wrote the book The Longest Kill. I've only spoke to him a few days ago for the very first time. He had no idea that I existed, but I knew he existed because he was public about his mental health problems and he didn't hide away. Like, you know, there's many a time you've seen him on camera crying, and I was so inspired by him that I just thought, I need to do that. I need to be on this journey with him where everyone can see that no matter what, like, you can be the fucking tough guy sniper, but you can also be very, very vulnerable. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you've been through. There's always hope, and it's hard. Like, people say, oh, you just got to do the work. Doing the work comes in so many forms. Doing the work could be getting up and actually having a shower for the first time in a week, or doing the pots, or the hard work is ringing someone, you know, ringing a helpline, ringing a friend. A great one, me and the snipers do, and this is, I go on about this all the time, is just sending a dog shit emoji. Like, it means I feel like dog shit, but I can't get the words out, but I feel like shit, help me, you know? And it's worked so many times. It's just so much easier than, hello, mate, I'm fucking sat on the toilet crying. You know what I mean? It's just, it's hard to do that, but everyone's capable of getting over these things. I think self-love is a massive one, because that's where it started with me. I love myself enough to want to help myself, which took a long time. It took a long time to actually fucking love myself, because I hated myself. I fucking, and a lot of people in bad situations with mental health issues and stuff, they probably hate themselves and say it to themselves all the time. But reality is, in context, you're going through something really fucking hard that makes you make decisions that aren't ideal decisions and not decisions that you'd really make. Give yourself that bit of fucking, give a bit of slack, you know? Don't take things so hard, and just make, even if it's the smallest positive change, just do it. Waking up in the morning, for instance, like gratitude journals and stuff. It's really popular now, isn't it? You know, you hear people talking about this sort of thing a lot, but it works. Like, even if the first thing you're grateful for is the cup of tea you had in the morning was good, it was a good brew, perfect amount of sugar, that'll do me. That's a positive already. I'm like, right, okay, win. Oh, I've got a clean towel I washed yesterday. I'll have that for the wash. That's another win, you know, and it can be all these. I mean, you go through a day and you've got 20, 30 of those. You can't not be fucking happy. Do you know what I mean? I'm buzzing with myself. Watch me do the parts.
Yeah. What's your daily routine like now then, when you started overcoming like the fears and anxiety and the feeling down about yourself and questioning everything? What was it when you started pushing through, and how is it now? How do you handle things now?
Now, I am where I'm on a plateau of everything's good. If I ever, everyone, which is another important thing, everyone has bad days. The person that's never had a mental health issue in their life, there's constantly ebbs and flows. You know, there's dips and in everybody's life, and it's important. One thing is not to hone in, which is something I used to do, hone in constantly on, I feel a bit shit. And as soon as I felt shit, that day would turn into a dog shit day, and that week would turn into dog shit. So at first, I had to dedicate my life to change. I quit my job, which, you know, made things really hard, but there wasn't really a choice to it. It was either do this or continue as I am, and the inevitable death will happen to me. So I dedicated everything to things like meditation, positivity, and just genuinely, I struggled with motivation for like fitness and stuff. Like everyone would always be like, go for a run, it'll make you feel so much better. I fucking couldn't motivate myself. But a little 5-10 minute walk I could, just changing my environment. And now I know that if I feel a funny one go on, I'll take the dog down the beach, and it might just be 10 minutes on the beach. I luckily live right next to it, but it'll change everything. It's all about, you can either, you know, when you're going in a shit mood, so you have a shit mood or you've got a shit thought going on, and you sort of lean into it, and before long, bang, it's got you, and you're in a shit mood. It takes practice to not lean into that and not be hooked by it, which is something. So one of my mentors said to me, imagine that these thoughts, these intrusive thoughts and things like that, are like clouds. You're on a mountaintop and they're blowing in the wind. Just fucking let them blow past you. You don't go grabbing clouds and holding on to them. Just let them go. You know, it's okay to feel bad, but 10 minutes later, you might feel fucking great. So don't give yourself a hard time for fucking not being on form, because you don't have like today, I still don't have days. Like on the train, I was like, hope I'm in a good mood when I get down there with James. Luckily, I am.
That's what you think, bro. Brother, listen, I could have spoke to you for hours and hours, but I want to leave a lot of the kind of good bits for your book as well for people to buy. I can guarantee a lot of people will be rooting for you, for your story, for your honesty, for what you've overcome, which is so important. Again, thank you for your service, but most importantly, for anybody that's listening or watching who's maybe struggling right now, what advice would you have for them?
What advice? I would say the biggest, best, most practical bit of advice is breathing. We don't breathe properly. If you see it in these films, breathe in, hold it before, let it out. That shit works. You can be in a furious mood, and 10 minutes later, just have a quick Google of dragon's breath. There's loads of different breathing techniques where you breathe in for 5 seconds, hold it for 7, out for 8. That's a great one. 5, 7, 8 breathing. A few minutes of that, it will change your mindset. So I think one bit of advice would be breathe.
Like I say, you're a very likeable character. A lot of people will be rooting for you. What's your social media links for people to maybe come forward and ask questions? Because you're a man who's overcome his own adversity.
Yeah, and I'm more than happy to do that as well.
You seem in a good place. You seem very light. You seem very bubbly. Listen, the laughter as well was just a good deflection, because the ones who laugh the most are struggling the most.
Yeah.
It gets us through. I'm the same, but for anybody that's maybe want to reach out, how do they do so?
Yeah, so Instagram is my main one. Instagram and TikTok, it's Ted Shirley, author, on both of them, everywhere. If people want to email me, tedshirleyauthor@hotmail.com, any of that sort, I'm here to help people, but the book, please make the book the first point of call.
It will, and it'll go through the roof, brother, and I'm happy to have you back on as well, so we can get into much more detail.
Yeah, love that, mate.
Skimmed over a lot, but again, I want to leave for people to go and buy your book, which is and it shows that what you've done, and you've got big things planned for the future, brother.
Yeah.
Teddy boy, would you like to finish up on anything else?
I would. I'd just like to say thank you, actually, to everyone listening and watching, because I know the influence that you've got, this is going to reach such a wider audience, and I'm just really fucking grateful, mate. Really great. Thank you so much.
Anytime,
I appreciate it, bro.
Listen, it's my pleasure, and again, thank you for your service. Thank you for what you're doing, and it's good to see you in a good place, brother. You should be proud of yourself.
Thank you so much.
God bless and take care.
You too, mate. Thank you.